Hello, my name is Aaron Sutherland, and I am a SUSE certified instructor. And today in this video, we're going to talk about command line skills, specifically sudo access. You've probably noticed in some of the other videos that I've made that sometimes I have to elevate my privileges, or before I run a command, I have to use sudo because I don't have the necessary privileges to perform whatever task it is I need to do. So I have to essentially become root for the instance of that command. For example, if I wanted to look at maybe the logs for the system using journalctl, I don't have sufficient permissions to be able to do that. So I have to do something like this. I have to use sudo journalctl, and then I type in the password for the user root. Now, that's something that has to be configured, the ability to use sudo. So let's take a look at that. Let's do a sudo, clear my screen, user add Geeko. And we need to add a -m in there. Now, if I wanted to change the password for Geeko, I have to use sudo again. So sudo passwd for Geeko, and we'll type in his password. So now let's become the user Geeko and let's test sudo access. So we're going to switch user to the user Geeko, type in the password that we just set. Now sudo journalctl. And that works, but the thing is, when I use sudo, it's asking for the root user's password. We don't want to give the root user's password to everybody, so we're going to fix that. So to fix that, we're going to sudo vim etc sudoers. Now this is the configuration file for sudo. So what we're looking for is this section right here. This section, target PW. So what this is doing is when I use sudo, it's asking for every user who uses the sudo command to know the root user's password. So we want to comment that out. So I put a £sign in front of that, or a hashtag. Now, this next line is only to be used with the line that we just commented out. So we're going to comment out that as well. Now, let's become Geeko again. So su space dash Geeko, type in my password, sudo journalctl, type in my password for Geeko. Now, what that does is that means that when the user tries to use the sudo command, it's going to ask for their own password. This is what you want. You don't want to be able to have everyone have the root user's access or root user's password. Now that I've done that, what this means is that for the user Geeko to be able to use sudo, that user has to be in the etc sudoers file that we just modified. So we've got a couple of things that we can do here. So let's exit as the user Geeko. And now you can see that I, as the user Tux, no longer have access to sudo either. So we're going to fix that. We've actually got a couple of different ways that we can fix it. The first method is to add this user to the wheel group. The wheel group is granted sudo access. So we're going to become the root user, and we're going to use the user mod. We're going to append a group, a supplemental group of wheel to the user Tux. We're adding Tux to the wheel group. Now, for this to take effect, I have to log out and log back in. Or we can SSH as tux at localhost, accept the fingerprint, type in the password. Now, if I run the ID command, you can see that I am in the wheel group. So now, let's test sudo. It's asking me for my password, not for the root user's password. And oh, that didn't work either. Okay, let's go fix that. So we're going to exit here. We're going to become root again. Now we're going to edit the sudoers file. So vim etc sudoers. And what we're going to do is we're going to drop down here to the bottom. Now we've got two different ways that we can configure the wheel group. We can configure the wheel group so that each user has to type in their own password when they use the sudo command, or we can configure the user who is a member of the wheel group so that they don't require any password at all. So what we're going to do is remove the comment from this line here so that anyone who's in the wheel group can use the sudo command with the requirement that they have to type in their password. So now we're going to save our changes and exit. Now let's SSH back in to this machine and sudo journalctl, type in my password, and there we go. We now have sudo access. That's one of the methods for granting sudo access. The other method is if I were to sudo vim sudoers. If we look at this file, the bottom two lines say read drop-in files from etc sudoers.d, and then include directory etc sudoers.d. This is the preferred method to configure sudo access for individual users. Now you can put them in this file, but if you goof up this file, it's going to break sudo for everybody. And then you have to have the root user's password to fix this. So let's go create a file in that directory. So we're going to exit out of there. And then we're going to sudo vim etc, and we're going to call the file just geeko. So now we're going to create a new file that is going to grant geeko access. But before we do that, let's test geeko's access right now. So su as geeko, so an ID, geeko is not in the wheel group, so sudo journalctl, and geeko does not have root access. So let's exit as geeko. Now let's add some text to this file. So what we're going to do is geeko, geeko space all equals in parentheses all colon all. All right, we've got that in there. That's all we need. Let's save and exit. Now let's come back over here. Su as geeko. And test a command. And it works. Okay, another thing to point out with the sudo command is by default, whenever you use sudo, it caches that for 5 minutes, meaning anytime you use sudo after that, it's going to not request a password because you've already typed it in, and every time you use the sudo command, it'll reset that timer. Now, if I wait for 5 minutes, it will expire, and then I will have to use the password again. And that is the basics for configuring sudo access for a user. You can learn more about this topic and many other topics in the wide range of courses that you can find on our e-learning site at the URL you see here on the screen. Thank you for watching and have a great day.